You are listening to the Aging Options podcast with elder law attorney Rajiv Nagaich. As the best-selling author of Your Retirement, Dream or Disaster, and host of 2 hit public television specials, Rajiv Nagaich has emerged as a retirement planning thought leader known for his willingness to disrupt the status quo. In this weekly podcast, Rajiv Nagaich offers piercing insights about the hidden traps in traditional retirement planning advice, along with straight talk about the problems during retirement that money, investments, estate plans, and insurance products don't address. If your retirement plan has been all about saving money, creating an estate plan, and buying long-term care insurance, what Rajiv Nagaich says may surprise you.
Welcome to Aging Options, the podcast. This is your host, Rajiv Nagaich. Recently, I ran across this article that was posted on MSN.com, and it's a pretty simple question somebody is asking. If I put my house into a trust, will the house be protected from Medicaid? But the answer is so complicated, and I thought it was worth our time at least to explore the nuances of trusts and trust-based planning. The common type of trust that most you and I are familiar with is a trust which is referred to as the revocable living trust or the living trust. The idea behind a living trust is if you died with the house to your name, and after your death, the house has to be transferred to your children, to your heirs, to your spouse, somebody, there will be a probate process that will happen. Why? Because the only mechanism to transfer real estate in America is through written and signed quitclaim deeds or warranty deeds, some sort of a deed to transfer it. But you're dead and gone. How is anyone going to get your signature? And that's what the probate process accomplishes. Somebody goes to court, sets up the whole process, and gets a judge to authorize a third person to be able to sign on your behalf to transfer the house out of your name to somebody else. But that's your typical example. That's your biggest reason why people do revocable living trust. But in this article, someone is confusing that if I put the money into a trust, will that be protected from Medicaid also? Well, it depends what type of a trust. If you're putting the house into a revocable living trust, you will protect your estate from having to go through probate, but it will give you zero protection from Medicaid expenses. If you want the house to be protected from future Medicaid spend down requirements, and let's talk about that for a quick second. The single biggest financial threat that average person in America is going to face in retirement is if that person falls ill and Medicare refuses to cover the bill. Why would Medicare refuse to cover the bill? Because there's no medicine that is going to get you better. You don't need medicine at that point in time. At that stage in your life, you need someone to cook for you, clean for you, get you out of bed, get you into the shower. Everything that is done by home care, home health, assisted living, and nursing homes, not covered by Medicare in any meaningful way, but Medicaid will if you spent all your money down to $2,000. So what this person who is asking the question is reacting to that rule that says that if I put my house into the trust, will it count against that $2,000 limit that I'm allowed to have? And there are lots of rules that govern that. But the short answer is, if you put the house in a revocable living trust, no, there is no protection against Medicaid. You would have to put the house into something called a special needs trust or a safe harbor trust. These are 2 variations of a Medicaid protection trust. Is referred to as an asset protection trust. So don't confuse your revocable living trust with a special needs trust or a safe harbor trust. And the lesson you learn from this is there is so much bad information that is out on the internet. It almost always will pay for you to check in with a qualified elder law attorney on these types of issues, particularly if you're going to be looking at Medicare benefits, Medicaid benefits, or VA benefits. I hope this is somewhat helpful to you. If you like this type of information, take a moment and subscribe to this podcast, won't you? Thank you so much. Age on.
Hello, producer Alec here. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Aging Options, the podcast. If you would like to know more about this topic and many other topics surrounding retirement, aging, and how to ensure that you're able to live out the retirement you deserve, please head on over to AgingOptions.com. If you want a comprehensive, deep dive into planning your retirement and don't want to wait until next week's podcast, I highly recommend Rajiv's best-selling book, Your Retirement, Dream or Disaster. You can find both soft and hardcover editions on the AgingOptions.com website. Please follow us on social media at Aging Options. If you want to see this podcast in video form, you can find us on YouTube, also at Aging Options. Until next week, age on.